It's time tonight, it's time to go racing in the F4 Middle East Championship 2025 Round 2. It's race 3 and it is really cold here at the Marina circuit here in January. It's been the latest that we've ever run a race in the F4 Middle East Championship at this point of the season, and that means it's going to be one thing and one thing alone: manage those tyres. Yes, it'll be easier to manage them, but that will tempt the drivers to push harder and work them faster. So is it going to be a good strategy or not? We'll have to wait and see. And of course, if you haven't been with us for the first 2 races of the night, well, it's going to be an interesting one because we're on the corkscrew layout rather than the full Grand Prix layout. How big a difference does 3 corners make, you must be asking? Well, it does actually reduce the back straight distance by 1/3, and that means that setup is more geared towards downforce than it is top end speed. What does that do to these cars? Makes them a very different beast, that's for sure. Now, there's one man in this field of the cars heading out onto the circuit behind me that everybody wants to beat, and that man is the Italian stallion, Emanuele Olivieri. He has come into this season pretty much as a wild card, if you like. Certainly, everybody expected his teammate Alex Powell to have the upper hand coming into the season, but Emanuele's clearly done his homework in the off-season, and now he is the man to beat, as is his team, Race GP. I caught up with him in the run-up to round 2, but before then, let's look at some of the earlier highlights from this evening. Emanuele, after the first round of the championship, you are leading the standings. It's a very decent lead as well. How do you feel after the first 3 races? Did you think it was going to be quite as easy as it turned out to be in the end?
No, actually, yeah, for sure the feeling is really good. I was surely not expecting to be that fast because it was the first race with the team, especially first race here in Abu Dhabi. I went here never before. And yeah, the feeling is really good. For sure, I'm not happy because it's first round. I'm happy, but still a long way to go. So far it's good.
Now, one of the interesting things a lot of the fans were talking about on social media afterwards was just how much you have changed over the winter. What do you put that down to? How much hard work have you been doing to raise your game?
Yeah, that's actually strange because when I was winning the first race 1, I was feeling like I'm driving in the same way I was driving last year. And yeah, the feeling was good. For sure, this winter I worked a lot hard on the sim, on the gym for being prepared for the season because we're preparing as much as we can, but yeah, feeling is really good.
So talk us through that first race, getting into the lead as you were when you were side by side with Alex when he had his gearbox problem. You kind of just handled the race up to that point. It must have been tough on the restart. Where was the pace in the car? Was it the tyres or was it just your level of concentration?
Well, the race was quite strange. I was quite stressed because it was my first pole position ever. Yeah, my start was not the best, but Alex had, unfortunately for him, has his problem. Then I took the lead. I'm always been good when I was like in the front. I was like hammer time. I was just concentrated to do like the best that I can. And yeah, after the 3 laps at Nakamura was not more in my slipstream. I was like Karis Mega was just doing my pace and it.
After all those years of karting where there were really big struggles at times, there were races when you were running in the top 3 and it all fell apart. Does it kind of make it worth it now, knowing that you were able to be this strong in F4 and you've started with such a good performance? Does it kind of make all that hardship worth going through?
Yeah, like after a few years in karting, that I've never been like in the top team. So like I was always working. Even if I'm not like the best material, I was just working. I want to win even if I'm not the best team. And now that luckily I have like a strong team, I'm happy that I can show like my skill. So I can show like I'm actually can win the race.
I have to ask you about race 3 last weekend because obviously that was one of the toughest races you will ever have done, and that final lap, you and Nakamura Berta, that must have been so satisfying.
Yeah, that race was quite nice from you, but from the inside, like after 5 laps that I had like already like 2-second advantage, I was like, okay, this is like race 1 is gonna be land like that, and after the second safety car, I was like, no, please don't. And yeah, last lap was tricky. My restart was not quite the best because after 3 laps of safety car, the rear tires were really cold, and right here I did a lot of whisping with the tires, and yeah, Nakamura was close. I was able to maintain like the calm, and for sure it's been not easy to keep Nakamura behind, but it was really nice to win a race like that.
You stay very humble about the whole affair, but you're working very closely, of course, with Race GP. Has that shaped how you're going this year? Is that kind of adding to the work that you've done being with this particular team?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good with this team, and especially with engineer. I think the feeling with the engineer is one of the best that you have to be for being faster. And yeah, luckily my engineer is really good, and I'm working really well with him, and we're improving each other race to race. Yeah, we are still working on that.
One of your personal sponsors, of course, is Audi back in Alessandria. Is there a chance maybe that the kind of performances you're putting in, maybe Audi HQ will actually be starting to have a look at what you're doing? They're going to be in Formula 1 soon. Is that a nice direction to be thinking about so far?
Yeah, for sure, it's the goal. But you know, when you have a big sponsor behind you, you're with the pressure to make like a good result. And last year was not really the best, and this year now I'm really happy that we started the season so far really good. Yeah, the goal is for sure.
But how important is it to start this year on such a strong footing out here in the Middle East? Does that give you confidence then to go back to Europe and think, no, I've got what it takes now, I can do this?
Yeah, big confidence because you know last year I was not so fast, and I was like putting like myself. That was actually the problem. And now starting the year, winning some races for sure gave me a like massive confidence for the next round. So it's really helpful. Yeah.
We're really hopeful that it's going to turn into a fantastic year all round for you, not just here in the Middle East. Good luck with everything.
Thank you, guys.
Great to hear from the championship leader, Emanuele Olivieri. This is the circuit he'll be navigating tonight, along with the 28 other drivers in the field. It's not the full Grand Prix layout at Yas Marina, it's the corkscrew. Now that cuts out the big hairpin where Max Verstappen made his giant lunge in 2021 to win his first Formula 1 world title. Instead of dropping down the hill on the exit of that long right radius, they go square left and then drop down through a chicane. The corkscrew section, it's not quite as steep as the one at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, but it certainly does change the balance of these cars quite considerably. Instead of being all about top-end speed and compromising your grip and traction in the slower apexes, now the onus on setup is high downforce. 42% chance of rain tonight with a low temperature of 12 degrees Celsius. And you can see for yourself, it's nighttime here, but it's much later than we've ever run a race going into race number 3. It is 25 to 10 at night here, so it's a very late running of this race. And of course, unusually as well, on a Thursday, it's only been Formula Regional and F4 that have been racing here today. It's partially because we had to combine with the event that is taking place this weekend, and there was no room on the schedule because we obviously had a last-minute change in location from Kuwait Motor Town to here in Yas Marina, which meant we had to do the racing on Wednesday and Thursday. There is Emanuele Olivieri, pole position for the Race GP team. Fascinating to see what he can do. He's already won an incredible 3 out of the 5 races so far, and from pole position he's going to be a hard man to beat. But there is one man who's definitely up for that challenge. That is Kian Nakamura Berta. You don't need to give him a pair of driving gloves, you should give him a pair of boxing gloves. The man knows exactly how to go for the choice moves, and he is definitely going to be up for the scrap tonight, working his way forward. Can he get the move on Emanuele Olivieri early and change the face of this title fight? A lot of people in the United Kingdom and in Japan will be hoping so. Third on the grid, Latvia's Tomas Stochamanis took his first F4 victory in the last round of the championship, and as you can see, he's making it very clear to us, all eyes forward. He knows he's got a lot to focus on, but he wants to get another win in the bag. Fourth position on the starting grid, also for the Mumbai Falcons team, Salim Hanna, definitely in a better position than he was in race 1 or 2. The Colombian looking very strong for this one. He is the leading rookie going in, and he's got every chance for a victory. Could he actually go all the way to the top step? The Colombian, who is mentored by Juan Pablo Montoya, Monaco Grand Prix and Indy 500 winner, couldn't have much better a teacher. Fifth position on the starting grid, the man who had a lot of bad luck in round 1, but he's certainly turned it around now. Podium earlier on, and now he can go for a victory from P5. Alex Powell, the Mercedes F1 Junior young gun, the Jamaican sensation they call him, based out of Miami, Florida, and with Olympic athletic heritage. This is a great opportunity for Alex Powell to continue his march to Formula 1. What can he do tonight? Sixth position on the grid for the Dutchman, Renault Franco, always an aggressive contender in karting. He's brought that same steely nerve into the world of cars. He pulled off a fantastic run earlier this evening, second position in the second race. Can he get any more than that? It will be tough from sixth on the grid, but if anyone's going to pull off a hot streak, Renault Franco will challenge the Dutch roots, inspired of course as he is by his nation's biggest legend, Max Verstappen. Over on the other side of the grid, though, the American Sebastian Weldon has incredible heritage of his own. He is the son of the Lionheart, and Sebastian Weldon with a great chance to continue his journey forward. The American not doing things by halves, but showcasing that now that he's out of his native United States, he can take on anyone, anywhere. Eighth on the starting grid for the Chinese driver Jijin Roy, who's going to be here battling away. He carries an Italian license, first season in the F4 category, having been very strong indeed, particularly in his latter 2 years in karting. Let's see how he can convert an 8th position on the grid spot tonight. It'll be a tough one for the Prema driver. He's got a lot of competition around him, particularly the man in 9th position on the grid. Also a man who is not carrying the flag of his native land, but where his race license is from. The flag of Italy also adorns Alexander Savinkov's car, but he's a man who's got plenty of potential. He pulled off some really good racecraft moves both in round 1 and round 2. He's about to finish off round 2 with a bit of a surge. What can he do from 9th on the grid? The Race GP star has plenty of potential. And then 10th position on the starting grid. All eyes here at Yas Marina are on their home hope, Adam Alazadi. He's from a family which knows pretty much everything there is to know about motorsport in the Middle East. His father was the former club president of the Porsche Club of Dubai. His brother was the vice champion of the F4 UAE Championship last year. And Adam Alazadi is not that far away from his first win. Could it be tonight? It would be spectacular from 10th, but it's more than possible. 11th on the grid for the Romanian youngster, David Cosma. One half of the Cosma brothers. Bogdan has decided to move away from racing after his karting journey to focus on making films. The way things are going, he could well cast his brother in the lead role. 12th position on the starting grid for the young man from Macau. After the legacy left over by Andre Couto in the 90s, this man is the next big star from Macau to go onto the world stage. Thiago Rodriguez, Chinese F4 champion, multiple race winner across F4 categories all the way. This is a great chance for him and the Evans Grand Prix team to step forward and claim a prize. Alexander Bondarev. So much has been written about this young man since he became the European karting junior champion back in 2023. He's already picked up 2 rookie victories this weekend. He would dearly love to add a third, but he's got to catch and pass Salim Hanna and Chijan Roy, his teammates, in order to get that done. For Hungary, Martin Molnar. We heard from him yesterday in race 1 in our pre-race interview, and this young, quiet, calm, composed man desperately hoping to follow Zsolt Baumgartner as a Hungarian in Formula 1. It's been a while, but he could definitely be the next one to take on the F1 paddock. Fresh out of his campaign in British F4, now in the Middle East, of course. And the man behind him, the Indian talent Arjun Cheheda, did a fantastic job in F4 India in the last 2 campaigns. Now he's got a chance here in the Middle East to showcase that he's not just a one-trick pony. He can really do a good job, and he's in the team that his fledgling nation is based, the Mumbai Falcons racing team from India. And what about the man who put on a great show earlier today? He may be starting down in 16th place, but now everybody knows the name of August Reber. He got the victory in the earlier race 2 from a reverse grid pole. He didn't blink, he didn't make a single mistake, and he commanded the troops for a victory. It'll be tough from 16th, but he's not going to let up for a moment. There is Fu Yuhao, the Chinese driver for the XL Motorsport team. Definitely making steady gains is young Fu Yuhao. He's got a lot of work to do tonight, it has to be said, but he's all for the good at putting a bad situation and transforming it and turning it into a positive. And there is young Taha Hasiba from the Qatari Motor and Motorcycle Federation team, run out of XL Motorsport. They'll get their chance, of course, these 3 drivers in the team, to race on home soil for the first time at Losail International Circuit, the season finale that is taking place at the tail end of February in 5 weeks' time. But what a sensational battle will come from the other drivers around them. There's the 99, that is all the way from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Abdullah Ayman Kamel. A real talent. He's been able to work his craft in so many different areas in these first 5 races of the season, mixing it in the midfield with a lot of gusto and determination. A real favourite for some star turns. And there is the number 16, that's the pinnacle driver, Kyoho Lee of Seoul in Korea. Great to see him on the grid. He's been making some very good manoeuvres out there on the course. Expect a few more overtakes from the star turn. The lights are ablaze on the rear diffusers of the cars, and so that is what they'll be staring at on the way to the first corner. Love this angle on the grid. You really get to feel like you're in a cockpit on the charge down to turn 1. Those lights will go out, and all hell will let loose. It'll be shortly time to let slip the Dogs of War in the F4 Middle East Championship, certified by FIA for the 3rd and final time in round 2 here at Yas Marina. So much to come in this race. 28 minutes plus 1 lap, and a victor will be awarded. From this second round, the corkscrew layout has definitely given us a very different challenge compared to what we saw in race 1. The first round of the championship on the Formula 1 configuration of this Yas Marina circuit, all about power, pace and slipstream. Here on the corkscrew layout, it's about downforce, traction and patience. A lot of great performances in yesterday's race. Kia Nakamura-Berta desperately trying to work his way past Emanuele Olivieri on the first lap. Couldn't quite make it work. There was a little bit of contact, a lot of wheel-to-wheel badinage. Great racing was the order of the day. In the sunshine, it's been all about one man, Emanuele Olivieri, who converted yet another pole position into yet another victory. He's done it 3 times. He's on pole tonight. Can he make it? 4 from 4. All eyes then on the starting gantry with the red lights on and solid. When they go to green, we'll be on our formation lap as the drivers will warm up the tyres and brakes. Green flag and green lights. On to the formation lap we go. And we are going to have a really exciting charge around this circuit. This is not an easy track to get right, the corkscrew layout. It's set up very differently to the Grand Prix circuit, even though there's only 3 corners difference. But it changes the whole face of how you go about this process. Everything is different. Everything is slightly adjusted. It's a very tall order to get this car set up right with these tyres on this circuit. In these cold temperatures, it's even tougher because there's no data at this time of night to carry over from last season, the latest we've ever raced in the F4 Middle East Championship. So this is going to be a really tough mission. So here's the starting grid in full. Emanuele Olivieri on pole position once again, alongside his chief rival, Kian Nakamura-Berta. Thomas Stolchemanis of Latvia, alongside his Mumbai Falcons teammate, Salim Hanna of Colombia. Fifth on the grid for Alex Powell, he's there beside Renaud Franco of the Netherlands, Sebastian Weldon of the United States, and Chizhen Roy in the Prema for China. Ninth on the starting grid, it's Alexander Savinkov alongside Adam Alazadi flying the flag for the home nation. David Kozma of Romania and Thiago Rodriguez from Macau are next up. 13th on the starting grid, it'll be a tough race for Alexander Bondarev with Martin Molnar of Hungary alongside him. Arjun Jaheda of India is going to be alongside race 2 winner August Reiber from the United Arab Emirates. 17th on the starting grid will be Fu Yuhao, the Chinese driver, alongside Qatar's Taha Hasiba, and then Abdullah Ayman Kamel alongside Kyoho Lee of South Korea. Next up on the grid in 21st, it is going to be Cole Hewitson of South Africa alongside his countryman Akil Alibe, who has been replacing Hamza Al-Kubaisi. Bader El-Sulaiti is alongside the English driver Emily Cotti, Junior Rotax Super 1 champion of last year. Seth Gilmore, Wang Ujie, Yuta Suzuki, Tamim Hasiba, and then at the very back of the grid, it's the Saudi Arabian Farah Al Yusuf to take up the final spot on the grid. 29 competitors gearing themselves up ready for an exciting show. It'll be a tough charge on the run to this first corner, the scene of where so many racing champions have been crowned. They call this place the meeting place of champions, and since this circuit opened in 2009, it's already crowned 4 in Formula 1 alone. An incredible run of champions crowned here, from Sebastian Vettel to Nico Rosberg, to Lewis Hamilton, to Max Verstappen. They have all claimed the ultimate prize in Formula 1 on this very circuit since 2009. And here today, we continue that journey to see who's going to join them in those record books as the F4 Middle East Championship continues in the second round, race 3, and that ultimate rivalry that's been brewing since the start of the season between Italy's Emanuele Olivieri and Great Britain's Kian Nakamura-Berta. They take up the front row of the grid yet again, and it now comes down to who's got the patience, the tenacity, and the aggression. The green flag at the back of the field, the lights come on. When they extinguish, we're under starters' orders. Let's race it, Yas Marina! Perfect start from both Olivieri and Nakamura-Berta. Olivieri's going to have to work. There's contact in the back. 3 cars. One of them's gone in the wall. That's surely going to be a safety car. It could even be a red flag as we've got problems on the start. 3 cars in jeopardy. We've got one desperately trying to continue from the Qatari team. Pinnacle's in the wall. So is an Evans GP car, I think, and one of the Axel GP cars. It's going to be a mass of waved yellow flags and safety car immediately as Olivieri beats Nakamura-Berta off the line. They get to the W Hotel and Miranda's safety car. And a few drivers are not aware of it as they continue to push on their way through the chicanes. But the signals should be given already that the safety car is out. Drivers are still pushing as they work their way through, but they should be told now by the engineers that they will be under safety car. They'll certainly have the notice when they come down the Formula 1 pit lane. Yeah, the yellow lights are on around the circuit. But the drivers are in tunnel vision once they go into race mode on the first lap. There we go. Now they know what the score is. Safety car is out, and they are back to warming tyres and brakes and keeping those temperatures up. My goodness, that was a nasty start. So we're going to have to see again on the replay exactly what happened. I have a feeling that somebody stalled on the initial grid. I'm just looking out of my commentary box window. I can't see any of the debris, but that is Kyoho Lee. So the South Korean Kyoho Lee is one of the drivers involved in that one. Fortunately, he's walked away from his car, so he's okay. But he's devastated that his race has come to such a premature end so quickly in. It's a mass of waved yellows on the start-finish straight. I wonder if they're going to ask the drivers to go through the pit lane rather than go onto the track. Let's look again. Now look in the background on the right-hand side. It's Adam Alazadi, I think, who didn't move. No, sorry, it's his teammate, August Reiber. It's August Reiber. So look at Reiber's car. It's going to not move in front of us. There we go. He barely moves at all, and then suddenly, bang! Kyoho Lee tries to avoid him. He can't. 2 more cars go in, and it's carnage. You've got to feel for August Reber, the man who won race 2. Bang! It's all over in race 3 in a matter of seconds. Bitter disappointment for August Reber, and they do indeed drive through pit lane. I thought they would do. They've started doing this of late when there's an incident on the main start-finish line, to just drive them through the pit lane rather than have them pick up debris on the circuit. Well, big disaster on the start then. It's August Reber, Taha Hasiba, Kyoho Lee, and I think Akil Elibe, who are all involved in that one. So bitter disappointment as we lose 4 drivers. It's Bader El Sulaiti, in fact. So it's August Reber, Kyoho Lee, Akil Elibe, and Bader El Sulaiti. They are all out of the race after a rather disappointing start, but fortunately it was fairly low speed, so there's damage, but all 4 drivers are out of their cars. There is August Reber. What a dramatic day it's been from him. From the win to in the bin. Disappointing for August Reber. He'll be so sad at that. But fortunately, it's okay. Now, the good news about this being on the start-finish straight is that there's a whole host of marshals that can run over and get things sorted. So this can be relatively quick to clean up. And I do notice that there's already 2 cars gone from the scene. I think we'll still be under safety car for this lap, because this is the first lap under safety car. And then I think they'll do 1 more, and then we'll probably go to green flag conditions, unless they're supremely quick on this occasion, and then we'll end up with only 1 lap under safety car. Here's the replay of the start. Look at Reber's car, doesn't move, bang! It's just a concertina effect as 3 cars try to get through. Nothing anybody can do about it. But fortunately, everybody's okay. Now look to the middle of your screen. You'll see Reber, he moves and then doesn't move, and everybody tries to avoid, bang, bang. 2 big hits, and Akil Elibe has nowhere to go. So it was inevitable. All 4 cars wiped out in an instant. So unfortunate for August Reber after his win in race 2. But there's absolutely nothing that you can do about that. There is Kyoho Lee's car. Clearly there's only so many hands to the decks that you can make in one go. Don't forget that this is not a Formula 1 event. There's only a certain number of cars available for recovery. That is the 95. That's Bader El Sulaiti's car. Now, where is that on the circuit? Because I can't quite make out where that's parked. He did try and go quite a long way into the turn, but that's a fairly close-up position. I wonder if Bader El Sulaiti tried to bring the car back to the pits, because that looks like he's driven it quite a way, to be fair. So Bader El Sulaiti, I wonder if that's over at the W Hotel. So I would suspect, therefore, that there's going to be a little bit of a headache to recover all these. This is actually the end of the first complete lap under safety car. I don't think the car will be coming in this point yet, because there's still 2 cars on the start-finish line. Red flag has now been flown. So that is obviously down to the fact that there is now going to be a little bit of a delay to clean the cars. So they don't want to basically run down the clock on the race. They want to stop the race, make sure they can get everything tidied up and everything clear. So I would suspect, therefore, that this is then going to be a chance for them all to move their way back into position. They'll come down pit lane, they'll park the cars in the pit lane as the red flag flies on the circuit, so that all the drivers know that the race is being stopped. And it means then that they can restart the race once the debris has been cleared on the main start-finish line. So that is a decision that's been taken based on how long they estimate it's going to take to clear the cars. They don't want to delete the time from the race. And you can see there that August Reber now gets the chance to cross the circuit safely, and he will return back to the pits. So a bit of a difficult situation then for August Reber, as well as his 3 drivers around him, Kyoho Lee, Akil Elibe, and Bader El Sulaiti. But I can tell you that all 4 drivers are okay. We're red flag conditions, but fortunately we are okay. All drivers are safe. Now, good question for people going on the stream. This is a good chance for your questions and your comments. Neil Stevens asks, will we have another standing start once we restart things? Now, that's an interesting question, because it doesn't run to the same regulations as Formula 1. There are separate rule books for each of these individual single-seater classes. And as far as I'm aware, because we've completed the first 2 laps now, which we have now done, I think the race is going to restart in single file formation behind the safety car with the time ticking down. So I think that's how they will choose to do it. I would run over to Eduardo Freitas and have him a quick word in his ear, but the problem is you'd have a very quiet stream then. Mind you, there's probably going to be people watching the stream going, good, nice peace and quiet for a bit. Another good question that's come in from, though, is there a curfew? As far as I'm aware, because this is a Thursday night and the session has been booked for a late night running, I don't think there is. So there could be a situation where we end up essentially having to run until we finish the races. I don't know whether the race distance duration would be shortened in that particular situation, but I don't know is the answer to that one. I think there isn't, but I wouldn't want to confirm that there isn't, and that's one of the dangers, of course, of running a race evening so late in the day, because it's 5 to 10 p.m. here, and let's not forget that we haven't just got 22 3/4 minutes of the F4 race, plus the additional laps still to run. We've also got the Formula Regional race to run, so it'll be really interesting. So it'll be fantastic to see how things all continue to progress. So Diana Antoniuk wants to know, what's your estimation for the red flag duration? I would say it's probably going to be about 5 to 10 minutes, I would think. So it's not going to be a long red flag, it's more to the awkwardness of moving these cars. And because it's one of those unusual starting incidents, rather than due to drivers misbehaving or aggressiveness, in those situations when it's nobody's fault, it's just a racing incident, the race director does like to give a little bit of leniency to the drivers, so a red flag will have been called to try not to take too much time out of their races. So I would suspect it's only going to be about 5-10 minutes or so under red flag conditions. It's not going to be a long one because the crashes all happened at fairly low speed. I would have suspected the biggest impact would probably have happened at about 40 miles an hour or so by the time they actually got on the accelerator. So I don't think it's going to be a long red flag here. I would estimate about 10 minutes maximum, maybe pushing to 12. So what is going to happen, of course, is that the competitors are going to be grided up in their correct position. For those who have only just joined us, we are under red flag conditions due to a start line accident which involved August Raber stalling on the grid, and unfortunately, just as the cars were starting to move to avoid him, he ended up getting tagged by Kyohu Lee, who got tagged by Bedi Rossolati, who left Akil Alibe with nowhere to go but into the wall. So 4 cars out, everybody's okay. It all happened at relatively low speed, but of course with a lot of cars broken and in bits on the main straight, it is therefore the decision that took us under safety car initially for 1 lap to assess whether the race could be cleared, whether the circuit, could be cleared very quickly. The race restarted, but after 1 lap it was very clear this is going to take a while. So rather than take the time away from the racers, they've decided to red flag the race, bring everybody into the pits, and then see. I wonder actually if we get the chance to show a replay of what happened at the start again, because for some of you, of course, you may not have spotted the moment. Some of us are joining a little bit after the stream began. So what we can tell you is that Emanuele Olivieri is your race leader, Kian Nakamura Berta will be second, then Thomas Dolcimanis, Renaud Franco, Alex Powell, Salim Hanna is the leading rookie, and then Sebastian Weldon, Adam Alazari, Chi Genroy, and then it is Alexander Savinkov ahead of Molnar, Bondarev, Chaheda, Fu, Rodriguez, Cosma, Hewitson, and Ayman Kamel. Right, here's a replay of the start. Look back in the pack. There's the Yas Heat that doesn't move, and there are the cars clattering in. It's a very slow accident, but it's a real concertina effect. I'm going to show you from a couple of other angles. Now watch just to the right of the centre screen. There's the Yas Heat that doesn't move, and bang, Kyohu Lee hits. So does Bedi Rossolati. Akil Alibe's got nowhere to go. Now that was relatively low speed for the start line incident, so everybody's going to be okay. But it's just one of those moments where everybody's trying to pick their moment, which direction they're going to go. And 4 drivers ended up just clattering into each other. So a very difficult start. Everybody's okay, I should point out. Nobody's injured. Nobody's even in discomfort from what I can tell. But it just became necessary to stop the race to give everybody the chance to come back into the pits to give the marshals the chance to clear it as quickly as possible. And they're a fantastic team here, organised by the Emirates Motorsports organisation. They're an incredible team of marshals. They do such incredible drills. I've been watching them in between races. And they do so many fantastic training. They drill each other in terms of all of the routines that they can possibly do, all the training regimes, all the drills that they go through, testing this situation, testing that situation. Really excited to see how they go about it. And these are all a team of professional volunteers, as it were. They don't actually earn any wages for doing this. They do it for the love and devotion of the sport, and particularly give them a hand this week, because of course they're doing so midweek. You know, this event has been taking place Tuesday through testing, Wednesday through qualifying and race 1, and then today on Thursday for races 2 and 3 in both Formula Regional and F4. So it's a lot of commitment to take out of your midweek. So very good for everybody, and an incredible team they have here at the EMSO. So great to see everybody putting in a sensational run. Now, Wesman wants to know, is the person driving the safety car a racing driver? They certainly are. They have to be. They have to be qualified as a racing driver with a professional license in order to drive the safety car. In days gone by, it used to be Katalin Wojciech who used to be the safety car driver, certainly over at Dubai Autodrome. I'm not aware of who the safety car driver is at Yas Marina. I actually need to find out who that is. I do notice, though, that both safety car driver and passenger, who is a medical officer, they are both out of the car. Now, I'm afraid to say that is a bit of a headache, because that tells us that we're not going to be getting going fairly quickly. It's going to be still a few short minutes. So any more questions, any more that you want to hear, this is a good time to ask. And for those of you who are on the YouTube stream and want to drop some comments in, this is a good chance to do it. So if you have any question, Maria wants to know how many cars are out. The answer to that is 4. So there are 4 drivers who are out of the race on this particular occasion. August Raber, rather sadly, the man who won race 2. And then Kyohu Lee, Akil Elibe and Bedir Al-Sulaiti all went into the barriers with him, trying to avoid his stricken car. So very unfortunate indeed. Well, Box in this lap is asking, why is Weldon's spare front wing next to him? Well, I don't think it's just specific to the front wing. They will have these special trolleys that carry all sorts of spare bits and pieces of equipment. They'll have a toolbox on the foot of the trolley. They'll have a second set of tyres or a spare tyre in case there's a slow puncture, if they feel that for different reasons they have to change that particular tyre for safety reasons. So they carry on these trolleys all the little bits and pieces that they feel they can change quickly. They'll have a spare front wing there just in case there's been damage on the first lap. They want to double check it, they'll inspect it, they'll make a decision, and then they'll say, do you know what, we are okay to carry on, or they'll say, I think we actually need to change that. So it's not just Weldon's front wing that is there, it's all sorts of different reasons. Great to see these questions coming in. It's great stuff, folks. Do keep it coming. Yuasha wants to know how come it's running midweek. We did talk about this a little while ago, but I don't mind repeating myself on that one. Basically, when we were due to run at Kuwait Motor Town, we obviously had run of the circuit, but because we then had to move from Kuwait Motor Town to Yas Marina, the only time we could fit it in was this week. Now, we were hoping to share the weekend on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but that was not possible because the motorsport schedule coming up this weekend is already fully booked. So instead, we just thought, right, well, we've got an opportunity here, we'll bring it forward. So the testing was on Tuesday, the qualifying in race 1 was on Wednesday, and race 2 and race 3 is obviously today. Now, there are advantages to this, partly because the circuit apparently is slightly cheaper in the league to hire, so that's good news on one front. The second good reason for doing it is you guys get motorsport live in the middle of the week. Who doesn't want that? And the third good reason is that there's quite a lot of Chinese nationals in this paddock, and they want to go home for Chinese New Year, so it gives them a little bit of a chance to do that. Chinese New Year, of course, is next Wednesday, so everybody wants to go home and spend that time with their families. So there's a lot of good reasons for having it, and I have to say, I quite like it being midweek. Can we have a few more championships running midweek, please? I don't just want to confine my motorsport activities to the weekend. I would quite like to do it midweek. So, a few more interesting questions coming in. Let's see a few more of the other decent questions coming through. Neil Stevens is on fire tonight, Will, on that keyboard. Who are your picks from the field, Jake, apart from the usual suspects? So if we take away from the usual suspects then, I guess that's Olivieri, Nakamura, Berta, Stolchamanis, who's a race winner, Francote and Powell, who are in the top 6. Hannah's been pretty good, to be fair. So too has Weldon. I've talked a lot about Adam Al-Azadi. I would say he's really made massive inroads. You've got to remember that he wasn't racing in F4 this time last year. He only joined the Spanish F4 Championship halfway through last year. So he's only just made that impression to move forward. I believe we're going to show you again, because a couple of you have been keeping an eye on what's been happening through the course of the week. This is some of the highlights that has been taking action through the week. You can see a little bit more of the F4 Middle East Championship on this configuration of circuit, because the corkscrew is very, very different to what we see on the Grand Prix layout. The racing, this is from race 1 yesterday, these pictures. Really exciting action over the course of yesterday. Who else can we talk about as well as usual suspects? Well, I suppose I want to give a shout out to Martin Molnar, actually, the Hungarian who's converted from British F4 last year and stepped up to Middle East. He's had a lot of good wheel-to-wheel stuff going out on the circuit. He's been really, really strong and definitely commendable. I think he's getting better with every race, which is always really good to see. And I like not just the winners, but also those who are making good development pace when they step forward. I'm going to give a shout out as well to the British driver Emily Cotting. She was very strong in round 1. For some reason, the pace has not quite been there with her from qualifying for round 2, but her racecraft is very strong and she's been learning on the job very quickly indeed. So good to see that Emily Cotting has clearly been doing things very eagerly and with full strength by halves there. Another name I'm actually going to throw into the mix as a driver who's impressed me over the course of this season. Although he's out of the race now, it's easy to mention August Raber, and we talked about him a lot in the previous run. But I'm also going to give a shout out to Kyo-Ho Lee. He's actually been a very talented competitor over the course of this year. The Pinnacle driver's worth a watch. He seems to get better as the race goes on. He's certainly really good at handling tyres, as our safety team give us a nice little wave there on the camera. I love the banter and the camaraderie with these guys. They're not just professionals doing a great job. They really do respect each other, and they do have a lot of good respect for each other. It's great when you get a team that's that close and that much of a unit. Right, race will resume behind the safety car at 10:16 p.m. That's in 9 minutes time, folks. So 9 minutes time. So clearly there was a lot of work to do. And I know you're sitting there thinking, well, how much time does it take to clear 4 race cars off a track? Well, yes, but this is a Formula One circuit with none of the Formula One infrastructure here. They take it all with them and pack them back in the trucks and fly them back home again. So you're still left with a skeleton crew. So don't expect Formula One recovery times when it's not a Formula One race event. You've got a team of safety teams out here, of course, but they're always going to be a little bit thinner on the numbers, especially being out of the Formula One season. It's not a Formula One weekend and it's midweek, so give these people a little bit of grace. They're doing a fantastic job under the circumstances. So interesting question. This is a really interesting question actually that's come in from TFC God. Do you think anybody can beat Freddie Slater's performance in F4 last season? It's a good question. Emanuele Olivieri already looks like he's doing that, because Slater was very consistent at the start of F4 UAE last year, but he only really hit his stride in the season finale at Dubai when things really started to turn up the dial. So I think it's already possible that Emanuele Olivieri is already going to get to do that. It's going to be really interesting to see if he can make up a bit more of the ground. Kia Nakamura Berta's mission, of course, is to try and stop that from happening. Here is our Chief Marshal running our team. He's a fantastic guy. Always make sure that everybody is doing a fair job and looking after everybody and making sure that both the men and women on his team are well run. They've got a lot of people who are chipping in from the sidelines, international marshals and officials who are guiding them in how to train their jobs and keep it going. They're a great team, a really, really strong team of people. So a few more nice questions coming in. Boxing this lap says, how's your throat and diaphragm okay with all that screaming during commentary? It's not the screaming that gets to be a problem with my voice. It seems to be the air conditioning. That's been the biggest thing to knock me out this week. But no, it's perfectly fine for the moment, and looking forward to having a couple of weeks rest ready ahead of round 3 in Dubai. I can't wait to be back on the Autodrome. Alessandria Leone says, shame that Kuwait is not on the calendar. It's a cool track. It is a cool track. You're absolutely right. I actually think it's probably the best Middle East race circuit that is not on the Formula One calendar. And I do think it's a track that's worthy of Formula One. The biggest problem holding it back at the moment is the infrastructure. There's no facilities there at all. There's a great race circuit in the middle. There's amazing facilities on the side for karting, for rallycross, for drag racing, and they do hold regular drag race events there every week. But there's just no infrastructure, there's no hospitality, there's no entertainment, there's no functional things to do yet. They're building that next. So I think the idea is that eventually Kuwait Motor Town wants to hold a Grand Prix around about 2028, 2029. That's their mission. They haven't put a formal application in yet, but that's because they've got to build the infrastructure. They've got to build the entirety of Kuwait Motor Town around this circuit. And I've seen some of the initial drawings, initial plans. They want to have dealerships there. They want Ferrari dealerships, Porsche dealerships. They want a whole town within the race circuit facility. They want housing built there. They want a theme park built in there. They literally want the whole thing to turn into a mecca for motorsport. Interesting if they manage to get it off the ground. So let's get some more of the questions in. Diana Antoniou wants to know, can you explain the qualification? When do we get a usual grid? When do we have the reversed one? Okay, so the way that the qualifying works in F4 UAE and in Formula Regional, actually, it's exactly the same format. They have 2 qualifying sessions of 15 minutes. And in those 15 minutes, they've obviously got to set the best lap times they can. In Q1, that sets the starting grid for race 1. In Q2, they set the starting grid for race 3. The results of race 1, the top 10 are then reversed, and that sets the starting grid for race 2. So that's how we do the qualifying in both Formula Regional and Formula 4 championships in the Middle East. And all of the races are 28 minutes plus 1 lap. That's in Formula Regional and in Formula 4 as well. Julian Gonzalez would like to know, are all those involved in the crash out of the race? I'm afraid they are, yes. There's too much damage to all of the cars, so I'm afraid none of the 4 drivers that were involved in the incidents are able to restart, although it does look as though the Axel GP team are trying to change that to try and get Akhil Elibe out onto the circuit again. They might just be able to do it. So the restart is due to happen in 4 minutes time, folks. 4 minutes until we go racing. Brent Brush asks a great question. Is Weldon, Sebastian Weldon, the youngest driver in the field? The quick answer to that one is he's not. No, he's not the youngest in the field. The youngest in the field is Tamim Hasiba, who actually turned 15 on the day of the start of the championship. So it's not possible to get any younger than that. But he turned 15. His birthday was on the day of race 1 of the championship of round 1. So that was just for him to be able to get racing again. So Sebastian Weldon is pretty young, has to be said, but the youngest in the field is Tamim Hasiba. So, interesting question. Any knowledge as to why Cameron didn't race in Formula Regional? Right, I was going to save this until the start of the Formula Regional race, but I will bring it up then as well, if you're just F4 fans. But yes, there was an issue in race 2 of the Formula Regional where we had a non-start for Evan Gilter and Aaron Cameron. Neither of them took up the start. I can tell you, having gone to speak to both of them in between the races, that both of them suffered an issue with the same component. It was gearbox related. I should say it's gear shift related, because they had a big problem with the clutch on Evan Gilter's car. They decided not to risk it for the start because it could have been very dangerous if his car didn't move on the start, because then we could have had what's just happened in the F4 Middle East. So they decided not to start, which is rather catastrophic for his championship aspirations, but at least he's safe. Aaron Cameron, a slightly different issue. One of the gocks on the suspension, on the gearbox itself, one of the little pulleys that connect to the gearbox actually came off the car on the installation lap, so they had to bring it back into the pits and retire it there and then. They have apparently got it fixed, so we'll see hopefully both Gilter and Cameron back on the start in their Formula Regional race. But that is Formula Regional, so we'll get back into that when we get there in a short while's time. Well, we've got the big question coming in from Garlic Bread Games, who wants to know, how did I get into commentary? Oh, that's a long, long story. There is a lot of chapters to be written in that one. Very nearly finished, actually. I'm actually writing my first book this year, strangely enough. If you want to follow me on Racing Voice UK, I'll let you know when it's released. It'll be on Audible as well as on Kindle. I'll make sure you all get a chance to get a copy of it digitally. And yeah, I will tell the whole story. But unfortunately, I can't quite fit it into a broadcast here for F4. Otherwise, we'd need a lot more than 1 minute, because that's one we're going to go racing again. We're going to get started behind the safety car. So I have plenty of opportunities to tell you that, but not in the next minute. Let's just say I was a fan first on my sofa, bouncing up and down on my sofa with joy, and now I get to bounce up and down in the commentary box, and there's a lot of people here looking at me with some very confused faces sometimes. But hey, when you've got the best job in the world, who cares how you behave in the job? As long as you do it professionally, bring all your youthful exuberance to the job. That's what I should say. Right, the safety car is ready at the end of the pit lane. When it leaves the pits, the timer will start ticking, but they will do one lap behind the safety car, as far as I'm aware, and then they will restart the race in single file formation. Irina Tirifu wants to know, is the start going to be with the grid from the start before the safety car? No, it is going to be a rolling start behind the safety car. When the safety car leaves the pits, the timer will start ticking. The race will be back on, and we will be in single file formation. 4 cars crashing out on the start of the race, and that is why we went to red flag conditions. But the safety car now leaves the pits. We're back under race conditions under safety car. The 4 drivers out of the race were August Reber, Kyoho Lee and Bader Al-Sulaiti. The 4th driver involved was Achille Elibe. Keep an eye for the number 14, because if he joins in at the back of the grid, that means that we do have another member of the field. Oh, get it going, get it going. Oh, I thought for a moment there David Cosma was going to stall it. Not easy to get these cars started again after a long sit in pit lane. Unfortunately, as I'm looking out of my commentary box window, I can't quite see the back of the field. So I'm not entirely sure whether Achille Elibe is going out onto the circuit as well. I'll know in about 20 seconds or so, because we'll see them all depart. Of course, just because he's not at the back of this grid, that doesn't mean he won't go out, because Achille Elibe's garage is right at the foot of the pit lane. So there is a chance that he'll exit the pit lane after Farah Al-Youssef has left the pit lane. There's a great little question before we get started again from Jaden. What's your favourite race in motorsport history? Motorsport history? I mean, that's a tough one in terms of the greatest race ever. My favourite motor race of all time has got to be the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix. Watch that again and tell me that that's not the craziest darn Formula 1 race you've ever seen in your life. That was just magical, and I missed it the first time round. I was on the way to a christening at the age of about 10 years old. It's the only race I've watched about 80 times, made up for not watching it live. In terms of event, my favourite event is sadly one that's no longer run. I loved going to it for the first time, and I never got the chance to go back a second time, and that is the Grand Prix de Pau. I loved it there. Fabulous street race in the south of France, quite close to the Spanish border. Used to love the races there. I only sadly got to go there once, and that was in 2017 to commentate on the Formula 3 Grand Prix, in which Lando Norris was actually leading on that occasion. Sadly, he didn't make it to the finish. He ended up doing what a lot of drivers do when they're in the lead at Macau, clip a curb and end up in the barriers. That gave the victory over to Maxi Günther, who is now, of course, a regular driver in FIA Formula E. A couple more questions coming in before he restarts. I think it's going to be at the end of this lap. 8K Realistic Solutions asks, will you also be in the booth for Italian F4? Not this year. That's going to be in the capable hands of Ian Silvestrin. He's been the voice of Italian F4 for several years now. A very, very able colleague, and he will look after you very, very well indeed. Fantastic commentator. Love listening to his delivery. And it'll be really interesting to see how the Italian F4 season goes. Now, watch for the lights on the safety car. They're probably going to go out any second now so that we can get racing again. Will they leave it to the last possible moment, or will they take them round another time? They might take them round another time, actually. So it looks to me as though they are going to continue on. I love DSW pointing out, you're too young. 1979 Dijon. Yeah, I am too young to have seen it the first time round. Doesn't mean I haven't watched it back. Oh, man. You have to tell these young fans just how prolific that battle is. 1979 Dijon. That's incredible. That duel between Gilles Villeneuve and René Arnoux, that will never be beaten in Formula 1 in terms of aggression, in terms of gusto, in terms of sheer audacity between the two drivers. Was amazing. Loved it. Another few comments while we're under the safety car. Nice to see everybody going and chatting away. Coronas de Lolo says, will we hear you in Super GT and Super Formula this year as well? You betcha. Love those championships. Love being the voice of Japanese motorsport on Motorsport TV. It's a real honour. I've got some great colleagues to work with there as well. Jamie Klein, Jens Sabota, and we do occasionally get a few guest appearances from the likes of Scott Woodwist and Tom Gaymore. Always a pleasure to work on the Japanese motorsport scene. A few of the drivers in this paddock are hoping to end up there, of course. So let's see how all of the contenders are getting ready. So Dimon wants to know, why another lap behind the safety car? I have a feeling, this is a really good question actually, I have a feeling the reason they've decided to do it for a second time is because of the track temperature. You've got to remember that it's really cold tonight. It is 10:20 p.m. at the moment. The drivers will never have driven the circuit this late, so the tyre temperatures will have plummeted. This is probably for safety reasons, just to give them an extra lap out on the circuit, because I've got a feeling that with the circuit being as cold as it is, you can't really give these 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old racing drivers a free track to play with when they've only done one lap around this circuit to warm the tyres up. It's just a little bit too risky for my money. So I have a feeling the safety team have decided, you know what, these guys just need that extra lap just to get the tyres and brakes dialed in. Safety car is pushing. That's a sign that the lights are going to go out for me. They do indeed. So we just needed the extra lap. Joshua Castagnetta wants to know, where can you watch Super Formula as an American? Motorsport.tv is the answer. I managed to slip that in just in time before Emanuele Olivieri drops the hammer out of the final turn. He's going to take his sweet time about it, but now he's gone for it. Oh, he's completely hoodwinked Kian Nakamura Berta on the restart, and it's green. Off we go once again. Olivieri trying to stretch that little gap he's made on Kian Nakamura Berta as we are in race stream. Look at Sebastian Weldon already trying to go for Salim Hanna as wheel to wheel. Alex Powell goes the long way round Renault Franco and makes the bid. Could even get into third position. Look at Alex Powell. How is he doing that? Round the outside and into third position on Stoltemanis. Alex Powell threads the eye of the needle, and Stoltemanis loses the back end. He's going to have to work hard to get that round the W Hotel. He must have gone off. He has indeed, but he's managed to rejoin with a couple of places lost. But Alex Powell rolled up his sleeves and showed the world what he can do, as there is Stoltemanis sadly recovering at the W Hotel. He did skate off the road, but Alex Powell is a man on a mission. Out of the turn they go. Adam Al-Azadi working his way forward off the lap. Oh, Salim Hanna now goes off the road. What a great start to this race as Olivieri leads Nakamura Berta and Powell. And there's the move on the inside, that's Chijin Roy. So Chijin Roy battling away there with Adam Al-Azadi as they work their way through to the crest up at the top end of the course. Great racing on the restart. I wasn't expecting that to be quite so audacious. Alexander Bondarev leaving it as late as possible to go for the move on Martin Molnar. I think there was just a little bit of a love tap between them, and Molnar's gone off. Molnar goes clean off there at the bottom of the corkscrew. He must have got a bit of damage. I think there was a little tiny love tap. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. So as a result of this, Martin Molnar is off the road and out of the race. He's well off the course, so I'm not sure that's going to be a safety car. I think that's going to be game over. And up the inside, Arjun Jaheda now gets his move there on Alexander Bondarev and taps the Ukrainian's rear wheel. So that's 2 points of contact in one lap from Bondarev. He seems to be able to survive it as Adam Al-Azari is going wheel to wheel with Chijin Roy. Chijin Roy, the Chinese driver, now trying to outfox him in the first turn, and Al-Azari hangs on for dear life and keeps the position. In racing, very tough stuff. But out front, it's Olivieri, who's already got 0.8 of a second on Kian Nakamura Berta. Then Alex Powell with that killer move on the first start up to third. Renault Franco, and here comes Arjun Jaheda. Braking to the hairpins. These tight left-handers, right-handers. Arjun Jaheda's got to keep his car out of the side of his opponents. Just about got away with that one. There is a yellow flag at the corkscrew, and that is, of course, for Martin Molnar. And it's safety car again. Well, they've decided to call the safety car. What a disaster. Oh, and that's going to be tricky because that's an overtaking move under safety car. Well, fortunately, the move is taken back by David Kosma. He allows Cole Hewitson to get back in front. Well, just predictable, I suppose, is the word we should use really for that one, because all the drivers want to make up a little bit of ground, want to make as much as possible. They only had about 15 minutes to do anything, and so desperation, urgency, it's all going to accelerate. But it's safety car again, and that's why Martin Molnar's car is off the race circuit. I would have actually said that that's well clear, but I suppose you've got to remember that these are teenagers, so there's just no point taking the risk And Eduardo Freitas probably also using the safety car as a bit of a pacifier as well for the rhythm and flow of the race, because it was quite clear that that was escalating and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it was going to turn into something quite nasty. So I think Eduardo Freitas probably said, you know what, let's just bring out the safety car, we've got a car to recover anyway, let's just neutralise, let's calm this field down a bit. If that was Formula One, then I think it probably would have been noted for being, you know, a full course yellow at that point, but with these guys, you just got to tame them a little bit. Sometimes the fury, the rage, it just builds up a little bit too much, and you've just got to be very careful in these situations. Your duty of care as a race director is to the safety of the drivers and the officials working. If there's even an element of doubt, you shouldn't be asking the question, could it be all right? You just don't ask that question. You go, no, it's not all right. Let's just make sure that we're safe and look after everybody. That's the only way to make it work. So it's very important, obviously, that everybody is well looked after. You've got to look after the safety of these guys. Very important. Right, Julia Koritkoza wants to know what happened to Stolchamanis. Your guess is as good as mine, because it looked to me as though he just lost the back end of the car coming into the W Hotel section. He lost the car completely, washed out at the W Hotel, and now he is down in 21st position behind Emily Cotti, ahead of Jutta Suzuki. So he's right down at the back of the field, unfortunately. For those who are interested in the progress of Akila Libe, who was involved in the first corner incident, I can tell you he didn't take the restart, so he clearly had too much damage. So I'm sorry to say that it's not possible then for Akila Libe to take the course. So 24 drivers currently racing. Here is the order. Emanuele Olivieri leads the way. Kian Roberta second from Alex Powell. Renaud Francote is fourth in front of Sebastian Weldon. The leading rookie is Salim Hanna, sixth position, in front of Adam Alazari. Then Chijan Roy, Alexander Savinkov, and in 10th place is Alexander Bondarev. 11th is Fu Yuhao, in front of the last point scorer so far, that's Thiago Rodriguez. Then Arjun Chaheda, Cole Hewitson, David Cosma, Abdullah Ayman Kamel. Seth Gilmore is in front of Taha Hasiba and his younger brother Tamim Hasiba. Then Emily Cotti, Thomas Stolchamanis, Jutta Suzuki, Wango Jur, and Farah Al-Youssef. So we're just trying to assess the situation. Hopefully it's going to be a quick clean-up. I think it would be a quick clean-up because the car is already fairly off the racing line. Yeah, they managed to wheel it completely off the racing line now. So it would not surprise me at all if we go racing this time by. I think it's only going to be a one-lap safety car. And again, if I speak to Eduardo Freitas later, I'm sure he'll tell me we just wanted to pacify the field. It was getting a bit silly. And I have to say, I kind of agree with his reasoning there. So the safety car is there at the end of the pit straight. Let's try and give the teams and drivers enough warning that we're going to go racing. Are they going to leave them out? They're going to leave them out another lap. They clearly feel that have been taking a little bit of conversation from the drivers with their engineers. Maybe they just felt that the track was too cold. There's Stolchamanis losing the car. We didn't get to follow him, sadly, through to the W Hotel, but watch at the W Hotel. Watch the cars come through, and you're suddenly going to see a rather bedraggled Thomas Stolchamanis rejoining, having gone clean off the road. There he is, he just spun off. So the back end kicked out. Here's the incident between Bondarev and Molnar. So the contact's already happened between the two of them. We didn't see how it initiated, but it looked to me as though Bondarev was making the bid on the inside of Molnar, just tapped the rear quarter of his car, and something had clearly broken on the car. So I would suspect, therefore, that that incident is going to be investigated after the race. Very unfortunate. So we're having to see and pointed out. I should point out to Neil Stevens, who said the safety car's being too cautious. It's not the safety car that makes that decision. The safety car driver doesn't get told whether he stays out or not. That's up to the race director, Eduardo Freitas. And he did say, look, we're going to be cracking down on these incidents in F4 in particular, because, you know, if these guys are going to get a little bit too hectic, a little bit too crazy, then they do need to roll it back in. Interesting situation then as the competitors continue to move forward. Now to the final corner of the Formula One circuit. And again, it's cold out there. Keeping heat into these tyres and brakes is not going to be easy, has to be said. 9 minutes to go. Not a lot of racing laps in this one. A lot of it spent behind the safety cars, to be fair. So let's see how it all continues. So Martha wants to know what happened to Thomas. Well, unfortunately, he spun off on the restart on the way to the W Hotel. He spun the car. He got it going again. Unfortunately, he's down to 21st position. So Thomas Stolchemanis all the way down to P21. This is a really interesting restart. Let's see how it all continues as we get under starters orders once again. Olivieri, Nakamura Berta, Powell, and then Franco, Weldon, Hanna, Al-Azadi, Chi, and Savinkov. The safety car is pulling away from the field. Right, this is going to be a restart, so they give them 2 laps behind the safety car just to get the tyres and brakes warmed up a little bit better. Olivieri's going to slow the pack up, concertina them again. Now, one of these starts has been under investigation for these kind of restarts, so they've got to be careful how they do it. Here Nakamura Berta is not going to let Olivieri have too much of a concession. That's much better from Nakamura Berta on the restart, and it's green, 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 green here at Yas Marina. Can Nakamura Berta go hungry and get in there early? A good charge forward from Renault Franco. He's going to have pressure from Weldon. Keep an eye on Nakamura Berta. Let's look to the first corner. Nakamura Berta's trying to go around the far side of Olivieri. He got a little bit of a tag in there from Powell. Powell is trying to split them. Lots of locking up into the first corner. Very cold race circuit with tyres that are not too hot. But Nakamura Berta doing his best to keep moving forward. This circuit must be like an ice rink in these temperatures. Yes, it's the desert. Yes, it's the United Arab Emirates. But it is 10:30 at night. Very cold temperatures with high winds in the region. So it's going to be very tricky to keep these tyres warm. Here they come again. And onto the Formula 1 straight, and that's a big dive from Al-Azadi. As a result, there's not a lot Salim Hanna can do but take the escape road. And so now Adam Al-Azari is going to have to try and defend from Chi Roy down to the first corner of the Grand Prix circuit. Big lunge further back from a recovering Arjun Jaheda. So Jaheda gets the run there on the inside of Fuyuhao. That was a good overtake from the Indian driver. No wonder they've signed up for him and kept him in the team this year. Let's see how it all continues down into this corkscrew section, side by side. That is the 99 of Abdullah Ahmed Kamel, and has run a little bit deep there. Through comes the Qatari, and there's Thomas Stolchemanis making a big recovery on the far side, picking off cars like they're raisins. So Olivieri, Nakamura Berta, safety car again! And that is the reason why. That has got to be from the original restart. What on earth happened there to Thiago Rodriguez? That is bizarre. So Thiago Rodriguez has had that accident before we even came across the line. Wow, what a crazy race this one's turned into. Absolute carnage everywhere. So we have a third safety car period. Safety car then to red flag. Then after a long delay we get restarted. And then we get a safety car. And then we get another one. Into the pits comes Abdullah Ahmed Kamel with damage to the front wing. That was sustained in the incident we saw in the corkscrew. Back into the race action they'll go. Without a number, they'll have to put the number 99 in there. But I'm sorry to say that that's a very damaged night for Thiago Rodriguez and the crew. So big tricky race situation then for the competitors, as they are back under safety car once again. Absolutely crazy race this one's turning into. So Abdullah Ahmed Kamel will now take up the residency at the back of the field. And I'll tell you what, guys, this is probably going to be 2 laps behind the safety car again. Because that car, while being quick to manoeuvre, it's clear that these tyres are not getting any temperature into them on this very cold circuit. Well, very interesting. No one you know points out, shouldn't these kids be in bed at this hour? So that's a very good point. It's getting later and later, isn't it? Goodness me. Well, after a really good run of form from both Formula Regional and F4, where the racing standards have been very high, this has unfortunately knocked that reputation a little bit, this one. So the competitors are now just trying to get themselves back into the race position again. I would be very interested to see what happens on this restart. Can Nakamura Berta finally outfox Emanuele Olivieri? He's tried several times this season in a safety car situation. It's going to be one lap. Here we go. We're going to go racing straight away. So the lights are out. And so it's up to Emanuele Olivieri once again. Kian Nakamura-Berta has got to keep his wits about him. Alex Powell's going to be really aggressive on this restart. So here we go. Hold your horses. We're racing, and Nakamura-Berta's got a good restart behind Olivieri. We're in for a shindig with 3 minutes to go. It's green, 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 green here at Yas Marina. Back into action we go again. Nakamura-Berta hunting, pursuing, looking for that move. Alex Powell's looking for it as well. Olivieri sliding around in the lead. Alex Powell round the outside of Nakamura-Berta, and he's there! Alex Powell, but he gets shut down on the exit. Oh, big racecraft between these two. Nakamura-Berta did not want to get involved with Alex Powell at all. He wants to get in there with Emanuele Olivieri. He wants to battle for the win. Nakamura-Berta saves his bacon. Franco with a little nudge there to look through the inside on Alex Powell. Can't get through. Couple of run whites there from the QMMF car. But it's going to be a really interesting battle on these last couple of laps. Can we hold it together without incident? It's going to be a very tight race to the end now. Can Kian Nakamura-Berta get close enough to Emanuele Olivieri? He's got to hope that these cold conditions give him a chance to go for it. Here we go again. It's going to be really tricky to see if we can finish this off. Now we are in a tight position, 2 minutes 10 on the clock, up towards the corkscrew section. A couple of drivers running wide. Keep it on the road, please. We want this to go to the checkered. Big lock up there from the Race GP car. That is the 52 of Alexander Savinkov, chasing down Chijin Roy. Alexander Bondarev right in behind him, drifts out a little wide out of the corkscrew section. Little bit of drift battles going on out of the turn, as that is, I think that's David Cosma, isn't it? Trying to whip his way forward. No, that's Renaud Franco. Trying to get on the inside of Alex Powell. That was a bit brave. Trying to see if he could get a gap there at the last second. Sebastian Weldon will be wise to that. He's got a chance to go for it. Down the straight, up to the hairpin. Olivieri's broken clear of Nakamura-Berta. The win may already be gone, but third position is anybody's as Powell shakes off Franco. And Franco's got Sebastian Weldon on his tail. Round the far side, can Weldon go the long way round? Had a serious think about it, decides to bail out. Weldon's still very close to Franco. Franco looking strong. Weldon looking stronger still. We go down towards the W Hotel once again. And it really is going to be fascinating on the brakes as Powell nearly drifts off the road. Franco's got a chance to tighten up. Weldon's gone in with. And now everybody's doing their best to not lock these tyres. It's really tricky at this point on the course. Through the right. This is the battle for P3. Powell, Franco, Weldon, Hanna, Al-Azari. And then not far back is Chi, Savinkov and Bondarev. And joining in, Jaheda and Hewitson are not far away. This could go anybody's way. We've got 30 seconds on the clock. So at the end of this lap, we're going into the final lap. We will not have time for another one. I wonder if these tyre temperatures are really starting to kick in and punish a few of these drivers. Olivieri's still holding his nerve. Lots of hard work here from Alex Powell. I wonder if just going around the outside of Kian Nakamura-Berta and then drifting onto the curb, has that done his tyres? Because he's really got to hold on to this now. Franco is going to make mincemeat of him if he's not prepared for it. And he's trying to shake him off. Look, he wants to break the toe. He's going to try and hold the inside line. Franco will make a big lunge if he's not careful. He's thinking about it. He's going to go long. Powell's going to defend. Franco's got grip round the far side. Oh, he's not got the room, so Franco is going to drift past. Powell's going to run wide. Weldon's going to try and go for him, but Franco needs to give the position back. But Weldon's on the overtake. So what does Franco do here now? If Weldon gets ahead, well, Franco's got to come off the power. There goes Powell, but Weldon's got a chance of going through as well. A little bit of sparks coming off. As we go into the last lap, Franco handled that handover beautifully. But Weldon is still to his right. Weldon goes clean off the road, recovers. Can he get there before Salim Hanna comes through? He does. So that keeps it all fair and square. Through the W Hotel section, bit of a run wide from Powell and Franco. This is a great chase for the final rung on the podium. And don't forget, there's a rookie winner in here somewhere. Between Salim Hanna, Chijin Roy and Alexander Bondarev. A lot of track limits warnings coming in. Are you surprised? I'm certainly not. Into the final corner of the Grand Prix layout. Past the Formula One pits and round the far side. That looked to me like Salim Hanna trying to defend his position from the feisty Adam Al-Azari. Look at Al-Azari and watch for Chi Roy. He fancies his chances into the braking zone as well. And is driving that car as aggressively as he can to keep them off him. Alexander Savinkov fancies his chances, as does Bondarev as they go up the crest through the left-hand kink. Back down to the braking zone. I think Alex Powell may just be able to tidy this up. If Franco gets a good exit, there'll be a debate about that. But coming down to the chicane for the last time, it's going to be the Italian once again. Emanuele Olivieri is unbeatable in the F4 Middle East Championship. When he gets into pole position, he just cannot be stopped. Try as they might, they can't catch him. The Race GP superstar for Italy is in the victory once again. Vincitore! Emanuele Olivieri makes it 4 pole positions, converted to 4 race wins. Nakamura Berta second, Powell third, and it's Franco just ahead of Sebastian Weldon. From Hanna, Al-Azari, Savinkov, Chi and Bondarev, with Hewitson and Chaheda picking up the final points. I have to say, a pat on the back should be given to Thomas Stolchamanis, who went from the back of the field after the second safety car to 13th. Can you believe that? In the space of about 10 minutes, Stolchamanis went from 21st to 13th. That is extraordinary. But for the 4th time in as many pole positions, Emanuele Olivieri starts first, finishes first. He just cannot be beaten. Woe betide anybody that gets beaten by him in qualifying, because you will not stop him in his current form. The king of Yas Marina in F4. This even makes Freddie Slater's run in F4 last year look a little bit slender by comparison. Over the winter, Emanuele Olivieri has been doing the hard work. He's been studying himself. He's been assessing where he's going wrong. He's figured it out. And suddenly, the light switch has been ignited in that little lad's brain. Emanuele Olivieri, watch out for him. He's going to be superstar material. 4 pole positions, 4 race wins, and just uncatchable. And he took the win by 1.5 seconds in the end. He and Nakamura Berta were 6.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field. It just shows you how tough the tyre management was tonight. If that's what it's like in F4, how are they going to cope in the Formula Regional race when they haven't even started that yet? Goodness me, what a tough race night it's going to be here in Yas Marina. And I think there's going to be quite a few drivers who are going to be quite lucky to have a change of scenery for the next round of the championship. Of course, round 2 of the championship in 2 weeks' time, round 3 of the championship in 2 weeks' time, is going to be on the Dubai Autodrome. A fabulous race battle, but it's Powell in 3rd, Nakamura Berta in 2nd, but still, from pole position, the man on top is the Italian for Race GP. For the 4th time from pole position, he wins. He's done it again! Emanuele Olivieri, invincible. Fantastici, magnifico. Just unbeatable. Can you believe it? I wouldn't have expected this kind of dominance in F4 Middle East from any driver. Never mind Emanuele Olivieri. Magic. Absolutely magical. So a great start to the season then for Emanuele Olivieri. Catch me if you can is the message as they head for Dubai in round 3. Olivieri wins from Nakamura Berta and Powell. Franco in 4th place from Sebastian Weldon. The rookie winner this time is Salim Hanna, Adam Al-Azari, Alexander Savinkov, Chi Roy and Alexander Bondarev in the top 10. The final point scorers are Cole Hewitson and Arjun Chaheda, with Thomas Stolchamanis missing out on the points by just 1 place. What a charge back. Fuyuhao 14th from David Kozma, Taha Hasiba in front of Tamim Hasiba, and Seth Gilmore, Yuta Suzuki, Emily Cotti, Wang Ujur and Abdullah Ayman Kamal. The last driver home was Farah Al-Yusuf, and we had a lot of retirements. Tiago Rodriguez, Martin Molnar, and the 4 that were taken off at the start. Akil Alibe, August Raber, Johuli and Bader El-Sulaiti. The moral of the story from Yas Marina is very simple. Emanuele Olivieri sends a message to his rivals. Catch me if you can. Well, folks, straight to the podium. We've got a busy night to continue on with, and we've got a Formula Regional race to come. So let's welcome our drivers onto the rostrum. And we got 4 of them getting trophies tonight, the rookie winner and the overall top 3. In third position for the United States of America, Alex Powell. A fighter's drive to third position. Great to see him pick up more silverware this weekend. Alex Powell's title attack is back on track. In second position for the United Kingdom, Kian Nakamura-Berta. A great run to P2. He has had seconds and thirds all the way this year. What can he do in Dubai? But your race winner for the 4th time this year for Italy, Emanuele Olivieri. Uncatchable from pole position on 4 occasions. Let's see what he can continue to do. And our Rookie Cup winner for Colombia, Salim Hanna. Another rookie win for Salim Hanna. Great to see him getting some decent silverware in 2025. Now it's my honor to invite Miss Shireen Al-Mazrui of the technical management team of Etara and the Yas Heat Racing Academy, who will give out the trophies to our competitors on the rostrum here at Yas Marina Circuit. We will start with the driver in third position for the United States of America and Race GP, Alex Powell. In second position for the United Kingdom and Mumbai Falcons Racing, Kian Nakamura-Berta. And to your race winner for Italy and Race GP, Emanuele Olivieri. And last but not least, the Rookie Cup winner for Colombia and Mumbai Falcons Racing, Salim Hanna. All drivers need to keep an eye on the pit wall. That's where the photographers are. So keep an eye on the podium pit wall, guys. 6 races completed in the F4 Middle East Championship, 9 to go. The next 3 will be in 2 weeks' time in Dubai. It's time for our Formula 4 Middle East Championship racers at Yas Marina to get busy with the busy. Kian Nakamura-Berta and Alex Powell, and to our rookie winner, Salim Hanna. That is an amazing hat-trick of races here at Yas Marina. We've had drama, we've had intrigue, and we've had a dominant victor 2 times out of 3 in both the first races. Now we move on to the Formula Regional Middle East Championship finale this weekend here at Yas Marina.